Hi everyone, it's me back again. I just want to say thank you for all of the nice comments and the support you showed my first video. I really appreciate it. Sorry for the lighting today. It's a really dreary, rainy day in Scotland, as you'd expect, so the lighting's not the best. But as the title suggests, today I'm here with some spooky Sapphic reads. It's coming up to Halloween, so I think it's a perfect time to read books like this. I made a blog post I think last month with some autumn recommendations on it, so I will leave that in the description down below if you want to check that out. There's some more books in there that are kind of split into genres, so there's some thriller books, there's some fantasy books, there's some horror books, and today I'm going to be talking about some more which I think are really great. I haven't read a lot of these, so bear with me while I can give the descriptions of them. And I've got quite a stack here, so I'm going to try and keep this as brief as possible so you're not stuck listening to me for a long time. So the first one is actually an audiobook that I am listening to right now, and it is Toil and Trouble, and I highly recommend the audiobook for this one as well as the next one after this. So this is an anthology by a whole host of great authors, including Taylor K. Mejia, Anna Marie McLemore, who else have we got? Zoraida Cordova, Tess Sharp, and it's just an anthology of stories about witches. Not all of them are Sapphic, but quite a few of them are. It goes from modern day witches arguing about astrology on the internet with non-believers to a witch in the witch trials times. I'm not sure what time period that is, which is very reminiscent of The Crucible, which is actually one of my favourite plays. And it's just really great. I've enjoyed every story so far. They're definitely new, interesting takes on witches, and I highly recommend it so far. The second book is a horror novella which I just finished a couple of days ago, and I also really recommend the audiobook. It is Yellow Jessamine by Caitlin Starling. I'm sure you may recognise the name. She also wrote The Luminous Dead, which is another Sapphic horror book which I am yet to read, but I definitely will be picking up. So this one follows Evelyn. She is a shipping magnate in this town which is kind of on the brink of war. It's not doing the best. And one of her ships miraculously makes it back to port, but all the crew on the ship are slowly falling victim to this plague. But it's not like any normal plague. They look dead behind the eyes and they are all strangely obsessed with her. And things go a bit awry, and Evelyn locks herself in her house with a rebel soldier that she has kidnapped to try and get answers. And it's gothic Sapphic horror. It's extremely atmospheric. I highly recommend the audiobook because the narrator does a fantastic job. She's also really great at different accents, which you don't normally see in audiobooks or hear in audiobooks, but I highly recommend this one. And then the final one, which I do not have a physical copy of, is Deadline by Stephanie Ann. This is another Sapphic novella, but I think the other books in the series are more full-length novels. This one follows a disgraced witch, Harry. She has been exiled from the witch community and she's trying to make ends meet in New York. And then one day she is approached by her sister, who links her up with this guy who is offering her a job. And this guy is a representative of one of the most powerful witch families in New York, and so Harry has to hunt down this lost magical artifact, object, I'm not sure exactly what you'd call it, and she ends up in this underground BDSM dungeon and coming up against some mole alligator chimera in the sewers. I swear it's better than I make it sound. It's so funny. Stephanie Ann's writing style is just so engaging. I really enjoyed it. I think if you like the Mortal Instruments and that kind of paranormal fantasy, I think you'll really enjoy this one. I highly recommend it. It's really great. So on to the physical books. So the first one is Love Bites by Ray Harmon. My girlfriend actually picked this one out for me at a bookshop recently. This one is your kind of typical cheesy rom-com looking book. It follows Chloe. She is struggling to leave her house. She's got a lot of anxiety at the moment, and then she is kind of, I wouldn't say forced, but for lack of a better word, forced out of the house to go to this goth club. And while she's there, she meets Angela, who is a PhD student and who turns out to be a vampire, and the cheesy rom-com vibes go from there. I think this would be perfect. I've not read it, but I think it would be perfect if you're looking for something kind of spooky, kind of in the feel of the spooky season, but you don't want something too scary or with any horror vibes. I think this would be perfect for you. Plus, Ry Herman is a genderqueer author, and I think that's really great. I'm so excited to read more by genderqueer authors, so I'm also excited to be reading this one soon. Next is Other Words for Smoke by Sarah Maria Griffin. So this one, I'm not too sure on the plot because it's very magical realism-esque. It does have gorgeous pink sprayed edges, so I think I'm just going to read you the blurb if that's okay, because I don't know how else to explain it. So it says, the house at the end of the lane burned down, and Rita Frost and her teenage ward Bevan were never seen again. The townspeople never learned what happened. Only May and her brother Rossa know the truth. They spent 2 summers with Rita and Bevan, 2 of the strangest summers of their lives. Because nothing in that house was as it seemed. A cat who was more than a cat, and a dark power called Sweet James that lurked behind the wallpaper, enthralling Bevan with whispers of neon magic and escape. And in the summer heat, May became equally as enthralled with Bevan. Desperately in the grips of first love, she'd give the other girl anything, a dangerous offer when all that Sweet James desired was a taste of new flesh. So this one sounds like monsters, sounds like mysterious goings on. So this one sounds like something you might like if you want something a bit more creepy. Yeah, I'm super excited to read this one at some point soon as well. The next one is All the Bad Apples by Moira Foley Doyle. This one has an absolutely stunning cover for a start. This one, I think, also to me seems like magical realism, but I could be wrong. Again, I will leave all the Goodreads links and everything down below. This one has a very the blurb isn't very descriptive. It talks about family trees being full of bad apples and about a mysterious curse which has claimed the main character's sister and is now coming for her. This one sounds very mysterious. By all the skulls on the cover, I'm definitely thinking that it's something kind of creepy for Halloween. Feel free to prove me wrong if you've read this one, but I for one think that this could be like your perfect spooky curse, almost fairy tale-esque book, perfect for Halloween. Maybe I should have read these books before doing this video, who knows. This next one is actually one that I've read, and it is Watch Over Me by Nina LaCour. This one you might be a little bit confused by if you read Nina LaCour's other books. Nina LaCour tends to write sapphic contemporary novels. This one is not too sapphic, I wouldn't say, and it's magical realism, I would say. This one follows Mila. She has just left the fostering system, and she has been offered this job on a farm teaching some children, and it seems like a really great job, but she was not anticipating the ghosts that haunt this farm. So this one I would say is very almost subtly sapphic. It's not really explicit in this one, but I suppose you could say that the main character is attracted to both a male and female character who work at this farm. And this one, as I said, has ghosts. I wouldn't say they're particularly bad or evil ghosts, but it definitely gives you very spooky vibes, which I definitely found when I was reading it. This is quite a melancholy book as well, so if you're looking for something a bit more sad, a bit more spooky, I think this one would be perfect for you. It's a lot about grief, dealing with your past, dealing with your trauma, healing from that, and found family, so if you want something with that in it as well, this one's going to be perfect. Next up is another one that I've also read, and it is Skate Racers by Hannah Abigail Clark. This is another one that's been talked about a lot recently, and for good reason. This one follows Sideways Pike, and she is a teenage lesbian witch. And one day, the 3 popular girls from her school ask her to cast a spell at their pre-Halloween party, and things go a bit awry. and the girls end up forming this close bond, they end up becoming a coven, and things kind of unfold from there. This is a really great book. As I've mentioned before, this does remind me a lot of Jennifer's Body, the movie. There's a lot of spooky vibes in here, quite creepy witches, obviously, mysterious ink beings, books that talk. It's just a fantastic book. Another non-binary author, which is really great. Yeah, I highly, highly recommend this one for this time of year if you're looking for some spooky, witchy, sapphic books. This next one I wouldn't say is particularly spooky. Our main character is very morally questionable, kind of like evil main characters, which I think could be good for this time of year. And it's Beyond the Ruby Veil by Mara Fitzgerald, which is a recent debut. So this one follows our main character, I can't remember her name, Emanuela, and she is meant to be getting married recently, but both her and the groom are gay, but that doesn't seem to stop her. And there is this kind of creature which provides all of the land's water, and if you get this mark, then you are to be sacrificed to this being. And our main character has had this mark on her hip for years and she's kept it hidden, so obviously she doesn't want to die. And then the water Kriya, I think is how it's pronounced, which is the name of the creature, exposes her at her wedding ceremony, and our main character kills said creature, leaving the place where she lives without water, and so she has to deal with that. So as I said, this is a very morally corrupt main character, which I think could be interesting for this time of year. It has quite dark vibes from what I get from it, so if you're looking for something maybe not spooky but darker, I know I keep saying that word, then I think this one would be really good. Next is one that I think is quite an obvious choice, and I'm also hoping to read by the end of the month. In fact, these next two books are both by the same author. So the first one is The Deathless Girls by Kieran Millwood Hargrave. I hate this shiny cover on it. I got it from Topping and Company bookshop, and they put these shiny things on their hardcovers and I don't like it. First of all, this book is absolutely visually stunning. I am obsessed with it. This one I don't know too much about, except that it is a retelling of The Brides of Dracula. So like Sapphic vampires potentially, and I mean, what more could you want than that? I don't think I need to go into any more depth as to why you should read this one for Halloween other than that. The second book by Kieran Millwood Hargrave I have here also has a shiny cover, and it is The Mercies. This one is set, I think, in Norway. Yes, in Norway in the 1600s, and it follows this island where only women live. I think after a storm all the men were killed off, which sounds ideal if you ask me. And they're kind of living in harmony until this one guy from Scotland appears, and I think he starts off this kind of witch trial thing there. I think this is based off of something that did actually happen on this island, and I think like a lot of the books I've talked about today, a few of the books I've talked today are about witches, so I think this one could add to it in a kind of different sense, offering a different perspective on that. If you still want witches but you don't want anything too spooky, or you're not really the kind of person to read books based on the season, I think this one would be really great. Obviously they're most likely not witches, but I think that it would be great nonetheless. This video has been a bit rough around the edges, but these are some great books that I think a lot of you might like, and I highly recommend you check out. Again, I have more in a post which I will link down below of ones I have actually read, if you're interested in them. If you have any recommendations for me, I would love to hear them. I hope you have a great day. Thank you so much for watching. Again, if you have any more suggestions for videos, how we could improve this channel, please let me know. Thank you again.